Hello, hello. Whether you're coming here for the first time or whether you've been here before, welcome. Hopefully, this is just a little bit of time where we can practice. We're going to be practicing cultivating peace and joy during holidays. I know the holidays can be really stressful for some people, and I wanted to just create a little space, not only to honor that, but to maybe take some of the edge off, maybe to help release some of the things that create stress or tension for us with the holidays. So, welcome if that's something that you could benefit from. I am Mary from River's Journey Wellness. I have been a therapist for over 25 years. I also am a Usui Reiki master, teacher, and practitioner. I also am a coach and a shamanic practitioner student. So I do a lot. I blend it all together because through my years of being a therapist, I really recognize that there's other ways to heal besides just talk therapy. So I wanted to provide other ways for clients to heal because it's stuff that has worked for me. Oh, hello. So I'm super excited. We just had this winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. If you're not in the Northern Hemisphere, then you just had summer solstice. But it's a time for rest. It's a time for reflection. It's a time to just recalibrate. We want to release some things that haven't been working for us over the past year. Maybe we have a new awareness. Maybe we're just seeing something completing, something ending, something just not fitting in our life the way that it used to. So we want to honor that piece. I'm just saging a little bit, we want to honor that piece, but we also want to get back to the practice of self-care, which is one of my favorite topics. It's something that I work with my clients on all the time because I think we're not great as a whole culturally in taking time for ourselves. And specifically for women, I think it's a struggle. Oftentimes we push ourselves, we do a lot for others, and then we don't have anything left in the tank for ourselves. So I get really excited about the winter. I know sometimes winter can be energizing for some people. They can feel like they have really fresh ideas, they have a lot of energy to plan and then think about taking inspired action. So just honor where you're at. If it's not a time for resting and just kind of recalibrating, that's okay too. But for me, that's what it is. So I know it comes at a funky time. I think it comes at a funky time with the holidays. I feel like there can be so much external pressure, so much just running around, chasing, trying to get stuff done, the to-do list, but then trying to balance that with like family expectations, work expectations, internal expectations. It can be too much all at once. So sometimes we don't have super positive feelings about the holidays, and that's to be expected when we feel like we're getting pulled in all sorts of different directions and there's no time for us. So I feel like I hear from a lot of people, not just clients, like, oh, the holidays, I hate the holidays, or they're such a struggle, or family's so difficult, or I'm not a terrible gift giver. I don't know what to give people. And I kind of want to say, like, okay, but like that all can be true. But then what's the other side of it? So I think we get stuck in it's like we're like a little record and our needle stuck on that playlist, right? We just say it over and over to ourselves, and it becomes our reality. But we really want to pull back and see that higher perspective and see, how can I cultivate peace and joy even in this stressful time of the holidays? And if this isn't a stressful time for you, if you're like, I love the holidays, well, that's fabulous. But I'm going to talk. I have a few things that I've written out. Otherwise, I'll get distracted and forget. I'll go off on a tangent somewhere. So I have a few things that I want to say, my strategies for really mindfully cultivating peace and joy during the holidays. And then, of course, we're going to do a little bit of breath work, a little bit of Reiki, just to release anything that maybe doesn't serve you, to help you get back to that grounded, centered space, and hopefully be able to take a little bit of that relaxation into the rest of the holiday season. So if you have any questions, if you have any feedback, feel free to put it in chat. I'll have it up. Sounds good. Awesome. And I will obviously be checking it. So the holidays. I feel like I just need a big pause. Normally, I'm really good at like planning and putting stuff. I don't know, putting stuff like away in my mind, or making notes for myself so I know what I need to be doing or know what I want to be doing. And this holiday season has really thrown me for a loop. I was sick after Thanksgiving. I felt like I was just getting over that. And then my kids got sick. And it's like, oh my gosh, we just need that time to rest and to recuperate. And we haven't had that. So I feel a little behind. I caught myself last week really being like, oh, the holidays are the worst. so I can kind of feel your pain if you've been experiencing that as well. And growing up, I wasn't a huge fan of the holidays. I didn't like a lot of the traditions. I didn't feel connected to my extended family, and so it created a lot of stress for me. And as I got older, I just felt a little bit more grinchy, actually, about the holidays. And it wasn't until I had my kids that I was able to kind of see it, through fresh eyes, through their eyes, and see their excitement. And so that sort of carried me through several years. And now I think I'm at a better place with the holidays. I just know when it's like a red flag for me, when I get too stressed, when I get too overwhelmed, when I'm not doing enough for self-care, and I start to feel that like grinchy stuff come out again, then I know, like, okay, wait, hold on, I got to do some things. So all the things that I've written down are the things that I do in my life. So I can tell you, the proof is in the pudding, that like, yes, these are strategies that work, and I will go over them. And if you have questions about them, obviously put that into the chat. But, I think it's really important when we hear these tips or strategies, oftentimes people get frustrated because it feels like a really big idea, or it feels like, well, sure, but how do I actually do that in my own life? So if any of them feel really big and you want to pull them down into like meaningful bites, or like, how does that actually work in my life? How do I actually do that? I can help with that as well. And so if anything feels like, what is she talking about? Just put it into the chat. All right, so I'm going to move this over a smidge. I know it's not going to impact you guys, but pull up my list. Like I said, if I don't have my list, who knows, go off on some tangent. But I think the biggest thing to remember for the holidays is when we're creating strategies, and they might be new strategies, when we're trying to create new habits, new patterns, even when we're starting to change our mindset or our belief system, do it with grace. Just give yourself a little bit of grace, that when something's new, it takes a little bit time to gain traction. And when we get really frustrated or really frazzled, we're going to go back to the default. And so, a lot of times people get frustrated where they feel like, oh, it's like 2 steps forward and like 3 steps back. And it's like, yeah, but we had those 2 steps, right? So I know you can get back and do that again. And so just be loving and tender with yourself if these are new strategies for you. But I want you to start thinking about, like, how can you move mindfully through your day? And what I mean by that is really being present, being aware, really able to tap into what is happening for you. I feel like I have multiple calendars all over. And I always am reviewing like what I need to be doing and the time frame for that. So nothing really pops up, nothing really throws me off. I mean, obviously life can throw me off. Life can pop up, but I know what I need to do for the day on most days. And so that gives me a nice sense of being grounded, being in control of my world, the best that I can be. And I really encourage people, if you haven't ever done anything with mindfulness, to maybe get a little bit of background information about what it is. There's lots of awesome books out there. There's probably lots of things on YouTube about it as well. But, mindfulness really, really helped me personally, and I can see how it helps my clients as well. So I encourage people to just take a few minutes each day, especially during these stressful periods of time, to, if you don't meditate, it's totally fine. But if you do meditate, just meditate for a few minutes. And I'm talking like 5 to 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be like, hours and hours. But maybe set aside some time for that, or just sitting quietly, drinking your cup of tea or your cup of coffee and looking out the window, or maybe even just breathing with intention. So just closing your eyes at the beginning of the day or during lunch or after dinner and just taking some deep breaths. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to learn a new way of breathing or breath work. It can just be in through the nose and out through the mouth. As long as the out breath is a little bit longer than the in breath, it's perfect. So if there are strategies that you enjoy, I have a couple that are my favorite, so I use those. But you can always take time just to breathe. It's free, can't get it wrong. There it is. So just taking a few minutes a day that's just for you is huge. So it sort of lets the brain know, like, oh, my needs are actually pretty important as well. So when we start to reprioritize our day mindfully, right? When we start to reprioritize, we sort of shift the energy naturally, because now we're thinking about, what do I need to do to best serve myself, which is usually not what we're thinking. um, if that's a new concept, sometimes it feels a little selfish to people, but it's really not. It's self-care. The other thing that I encourage people to do, and more days than not, try to move your body. And again, you don't have to hit the gym or get a membership or anything like that. Maybe park a little bit farther when you're driving to a parking lot, as long as it's safe, to walk in by yourself. Just to extend that time that you're walking, taking a relaxing walk sometime during the day, setting time aside for actual exercise, that would be good too. But as little as you can do in your day is fine. Like, again, we're talking about like 5 or 15 minutes. We're not talking about like, I have to spend an hour and a half in the gym. I'm not saying that at all. That can create its own problems. But we want to just do a little bit each day, and we can build on that. So if we're just beginning, maybe we start to, increase. My walk maybe was a couple blocks. Maybe then it turns into a mile. Then maybe it turns into, a mile and a half, 2 miles. So we just want to build on that as we can. Exercise is a wonderful stress management tool. I think, again, when we start to get overwhelmed, that gets pushed off. That gets pushed off of our things to do for ourselves. So we want to bring that back in, have some sort of gentle movement. The other benefit that I like to say to clients is that it helps to move the stuck and stagnant energy in our body. And if you're like, I don't know anything about energy healing, don't know what you're talking about, it's just the tightness, it's just the stress, it's just the physical symptoms, I guess, of being, stressed, worried, or overwhelmed, or anxious. So we just want to release that. We just want to have a way of letting that go. So any sort of movement is fine. It can be even something fun like dance. So you can incorporate however you want. The other thing that I really encourage people to do when I'm talking about like mindfully moving through their day is to have a habit or create a habit of checking in with yourself and noticing your thoughts or your thoughts and emotions, as the day unfolds. Sometimes we get so carried away with our thoughts, we don't even recognize like how things were building for us until we're like, oh, I'm going over the cliff, right? So we want to have some sort of mechanism, some sort of check-in with ourselves to see, how am I feeling? What are my thoughts like? If we're starting to feel stressed, overwhelmed, anything that feels negative or challenging, as it's amping up, we're going to be able to catch that, right? So it doesn't escalate. We can actually bring it down. We just want to have a moment that we pause, and with awareness, we just notice what we're experiencing in that moment. And I'm always going to say this without judgment or criticism. Again, give yourself a little grace. But you just want to check in and see where you're at. Sometimes you have to do something, a little spot checking, spot cleaning in the moment with those thoughts and emotions. Sometimes you don't have to, maybe it's just enough that you know that they're there. But sometimes if we do notice that we're there, we tend to stuff them down, right? We tend to put them on a shelf in the back of our minds. We try to walk away. And that's not helpful because it's going to stay there, it's going to grow, it's going to fester, and it's going to pop out when you're not expecting it or in really unhealthy ways. So we want to make sure that we have a mechanism to release if we need to, if we recognize our emotions or our thoughts as creating stress for us or our stress inducing, we want to have a mechanism to release it. So obviously you can talk to a supportive, loving friend or family member or even colleague, neighbor, doesn't really matter. But as long as they've got your back, you could talk to somebody like that. You could talk to obviously a therapist. You can journal. Journal is a great way. And I'm talking about like pen or pencil to paper, not typing it out, but journaling it out, just writing it out for yourself. It can be kind of like a brain dump where you just put it all down there. Rip it up, throw it away, burn it. I don't care. But you just want to have a mechanism to release that. And then sometimes we want to include some self-affirming talk. So if we notice that we're getting amped up, if we notice that we're starting to get stressed, do we need to shift that perspective? Do we need to give ourselves a little boost of confidence? Do we need to just have something that we say to ourselves? I know a lot of people use this too shall pass. Something really quick that you can say to yourself that's affirming, supportive, and loving. I'm enough. It's okay. I can only do what I can do, right? Like it's the really simple things that we can say to ourselves in the moment that are meaningful for us. They're usually pretty individual and pretty personalized. The thing that sort of resonates with you that does make you feel like it is a release to hear that or say that to yourself. So those are some ways that I think that you could move mindfully through your day. I'm sure there's others, but for time, we'll just move on. The next one that I think is really important for the holidays, and honestly, it didn't dawn on me until like after we had kids, which is not probably not great. But I never thought of this one. Make intentional plans. Don't just take what other people are doing. Don't just take what we've always done. Don't just take what you think the expectations are from other people. Actually look at, what do I want to do? So you have to do a little bit of prep work to think about, what is going to bring me peace and joy during this holiday season? What would the activities be? Who would I surround myself with? Where would I go? What would I do? That all that kind of stuff, right? We want to start looking at that, recognizing we have needs, and we probably have needs about the holidays as well. So, like, how do we want to celebrate as opposed to like we've always done it this way? And so, thinking about what that would look like, and then inviting people into that. I think it's so important for us to have that healthy and open communication where we tell somebody, this year I'm pretty exhausted with work or just getting over being sick. I'd really love to just do, an easy night of like pizza and movies. How would that be for you? Right? Like we just want to be able to create something that fits with what our needs are and what we would enjoy as well. So that is my first thing for planning. The fact that that never dawned on me is probably not a great thing, but I think in my family, it was like tradition, tradition, tradition. You just kind of did the same thing every year without fail. And so I think it was just like rote memory, right? It was just something that we did. So I think that can be a game changer when we start to think about creating something with intentionality. So one piece of that also, when we're creating some sort of calendar schedule for us, an intentional, mindful calendar for ourselves. Don't overbook yourself. So really understand your energy and your interests. I'm an introvert. I'm an empath. I'm highly sensitive. I get depleted really quickly in social situations. It is not something that always energizes me. Sometimes I, really do seek out time with my friends, time with my family, and it does energize me, but then I get depleted really quickly. And so know yourself, know your energy, know what you're needing. If you're an extrovert and feel like my cup is so empty and I really need to just be around other people, book that, schedule that. If you need a little bit more downtime, do that as well. But try to keep it simple. Whatever you're booking, it doesn't have to be cramming everything in. When I hear about those people that are like, we did brunch and we did Santa and we did this and we did that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm overwhelmed just hearing what your plans were. So now, granted, if that's what really is supporting and really lights you up, do it. But not for me. That is not for me. So I think keeping it simple really helps as well. Making sure that you can build some sort of like fun and laughter into your calendar. So, how can you do that? It feels like sometimes there's a lot of obligation stuff that we're just checking off. We've just done it, and um, we're going to continue to do more stuff that we have to check off. But we want to find things that are lighthearted, that are fun, that kind of give us a break from the busyness or the heaviness. Something that maybe taps into our creativity, something that allows us to express ourselves. I want to celebrate in this way because it's meaningful to me. So just giving yourself that permission, I think, is huge. And knowing if fun and laughter is not part of your normal routine, are there movies that you enjoy? Are there comedians that you enjoy, or shows or whatever? Is there stuff that you enjoy? Social media is good and bad, but is there stuff that you enjoy on social media that kind of makes you laugh? I was watching, I rarely watch shorts, and I was watching this little boy. He was so precious. He'd gotten a part in a play, a holiday play, and he was like so excited. And he said a phrase that my son says all the time. It's a very soccer related phrase. And I just got such a big kick out of it. I had to show my son, I had to show my husband. I was like, oh my gosh, look at this little boy. So even those little things that just make you smile, make you laugh, that you can share with other people and they can appreciate it as well. It's so, so huge. Even though we talk about like, it's time to celebrate, right? We're going to all these parties and get togethers. They may not feel fun. They may not fill you with laughter, right? So finding those things. I have this girlfriend that we don't have to talk, every week, but when we do, oh my gosh, she just makes me laugh. I'm talking like wipe the tears away from my eyes laugh. And, I want to seek those people out when I'm starting to waffle or I'm starting to struggle, because I need to have that laughter. I need to have that fun back in my schedule. Okay, another big one, and this might be a new thing for a lot of people. Give yourself permission to say no. So opt out. You don't have to participate in everything. Be, again, mindful and pick and choose the things that you want to do. The things that are too overwhelming, pass, right? And the more we say no to things that don't feel very aligned with us, the easier it becomes to say no. And so we don't have to explain it off. We don't have to come up with a reason or an excuse. We don't have to make our case. It's just no. Thank you for the invite. I really appreciate it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to attend, right? That's it. That's all we have to do. If it's something that like, oh, I really want to see this person, or I really want to still have part of this tradition, then maybe offer out a compromise. What would be something else that you would like to do? So, attending a dinner party with your partner's, 50 employees or whatever sounds horrifying to me. Maybe having like a lunch or a coffee with a few of the people, right? Like just finding some sort of compromise that's more your speed if it's somebody else's option or somebody else's thought. Okay, so saying no is hard. And here's the other one that's a little bit of a struggle. Set limits. So if you're not great with them, here's a good opportunity. The holidays are a great opportunity to try. So you want to set limits, you want to clarify what they are, you want to hold healthy boundaries with other people. Even if they don't have healthy boundaries with you, even if they don't have healthy boundaries with other people, that's okay. You're going to create those healthy boundaries for yourself because it is going to bring peace and joy into your life, believe me. So I think a lot of times when we talk about setting limits, it tends to be with other people. It tends to be with the challenging people in our life, the takers or the overdoers or whatever they are. But the other piece of like setting limits is I want you to be mindful about limiting the overindulgence that sometimes happens with the holidays. I know a lot of people talk about like drinking too much or eating too much and then feeling really awful. Not a lot of people drink a ton, eat a ton, and then the next day are like, I feel awesome. I'm so glad I did that, right? Usually people are like, oh, why did I do that to myself? Especially if it's, going against or it's creating more stress with another goal that you have for yourself. So if you are, intending to drink, just make sure that you have a plan for yourself. Make sure that you have a way to safely get home. Try to drink in moderation. Make sure that you're staying hydrated, all that kind of stuff. With limits, also, don't skimp on sleep. If the party is going to last till 2 a.m., but you normally go to bed at 10, maybe you punch out early, right? Maybe you just leave or head home or whatever it might be. So set limits not only with other people, but with yourself. Give yourself permission to enjoy and have fun, to be loose and free, but don't do anything that's going to end up compromising your happiness. That's never a good thing. Okay, so some of these, they're getting more and more challenging, I will say. The next one, and this is going to be a big breath in, big breath out. Okay, the next one is look at your expectations. So oftentimes we have expectations for ourselves, but they may not have originally started with us, right? Again, there could be family traditions, there could be family expectations. So are your expectations realistic? And here's another one. If you get disappointed, if you have an expectation or a hope for how a holiday is going to turn out or how an event's going to turn out and you get disappointed, you need to check in with yourself on this one. Number one, were your expectations realistic? But number two, did you openly and clearly convey your expectations to the other people that were participating? I see this one all the time kind of snare people that, they feel like, well, I just assumed that everyone would think the same exact thing. And it's like, nope. Well, we're all different, number one. And number two, most of us aren't mind readers. So unless you've conveyed that, unless you verbally have said it to them, they may not know what your expectations are. So we can look also at what we think other people's expectations are. So sometimes we just assume that other people are expecting us to do X, Y, and Z. And the reality is they may not. It may not even be on their radar. We're just assuming that. So don't. Check in with them, ask for clarity, make sure that you guys are on the same page. If you're not, that's probably a good thing that you talk about it ahead of time so nobody's disappointed. But if you're not, think about like, how can we negotiate? Again, how can we compromise? Is there something that I'm able to do and you're able to do? And so we both feel like our expectations and needs are met. Maybe. I think it's really challenging. I talk to clients all the time about family members having these really lofty ideas about the perfect holiday gathering, and perfect doesn't exist. Number one, ideal is probably something we can shoot for, or enjoyable. But I think they get very, the people that have those really lofty expectations get disappointed, and it comes out in weird, wonky ways. Maybe there's some passive aggressive stuff. Maybe there's just some cattiness or snarkiness. Maybe they lash out, right? Because they're disappointed. But if they didn't convey what their expectations were, how would you have known that that's what they were hoping for? So I feel like both people need to be able to clarify and communicate what their expectations are. And then we need to modify them, right? If somebody's like, I want to have this this big, beautiful, I don't know, over the top celebration, and your partner's like, no, pizza, pizza and a movie, like I said earlier, right? We really have to be able to honor that. If this isn't somebody's wishes as well, or this isn't meeting somebody's needs as well, sort of have to modify our expectations. And when you do this, even though it might be a little disappointed when you might be a little disappointed when you release some of that, it ends up being so much better in the end because it ends up a win-win as opposed to a win-lose or even lose-lose. So get clear on expectations. That's a biggie. Okay. And then I have a few more. So with that one, a lot of times with the holidays, I see anger and resentment coming out. So is this time to start to think about maybe forgiving yourself, forgiving others, letting go of stuff, letting go of either pain or, score keeping, if you've been keeping a score or a tally of who's hurt you or whatever it might be. Is it time to let go of that? And I always tell people for this one, when we're trying to let go of anger and resentment, a friend is nice, but a therapist is probably better. You probably want to have not only a safe space to talk, a safe space to share, but somebody that's going to be able to assist you and support you with healthy emotional release. So if you notice that anger and resentment are coming up, maybe this is time to either get into therapy or get back into therapy. And it doesn't have to be long term, right? It can just be, pretty short or whatever meets your needs, honestly. But I see this come up all the time. So this might be a touchy one for people because oftentimes, there's blame of others for our anger. And really, we have to be emotionally responsible for our emotions. It doesn't matter what they are. And so this can be challenging for some people to look at, like, how do I need to release this? How do I need to let go of it? You don't always have to, just like a side note, you don't always have to forgive other people if they've done something that has hurt you. You don't have to forgive this situation or scenario or anything like that. You do get to think about, what do I want to do with this? But even if there's no forgiveness sent to the other person or the situation, you got to practice that, sending the forgiveness to yourself. You have to heal that emotional wound for yourself, regardless of what happens with the other person. So that's just something, I know that's a little touchy for some people to talk about, but when we're talking about bringing peace into the holidays, that's going to be a big fix. So another kind of serious one is when you start to recognize, or if you start to recognize that you're isolating or withdrawing during this time. That usually tells me that people are either stuck in their headspace, or they're starting to feel really overwhelmed. They can start to feel depressed. Maybe old patterns are coming back up. Maybe, old expectations from family, old roles that we played in family dynamics might be coming up. And so we want to kind of support that, but we want to also shift the perspective. So when we start to isolate, everything sort of shuts down and we're in our own head, and that's all we can see. It's like not even blinders, it's like complete blockage of vision. And so we want to expand that a little bit. And so if you are struggling with depression, obviously, I always recommend talking to, again, a licensed and trained therapist. There's always support. There's always help out there. You can, always find somebody that's open, number one, but number two, available to meet your needs. So always do that. But when we start to expand our perspective, when we try to look at things from outside of just ourselves, I encourage people to reach out to maybe a friend, a family member, community member, maybe even a colleague, I don't know, that might be in need of some sort of support that you could provide. And maybe it's just a simple conversation. Maybe it's picking up a cup of coffee for them, or maybe it's, driving them home from a shift at work, or whatever it might be. But, you don't have to overexert yourself, but you do want to think about, like, what are other people needing in this time? Because whenever I think, like, oh, I've got it the worst, somebody else has it worse, right? Like we have to always look beyond what we're experiencing and put it into perspective of like somebody else is struggling as well. Can I be there to support them? Again, we don't have to overextend ourselves, but we can think about how we can support others. And when we do that, it sort of alleviates some of our tightness, our constriction. We obviously wouldn't be as isolated if we're doing that. Maybe thinking about volunteering, whether you want to donate your time, your money, your energy, your gifts, and your talents. That's a really nice way. Again, we're not going to be doing this out of like guilt or obligation, but out of an actual desire to help and be supportive. And again, not to overextend ourselves, not to add extra things that feel daunting or stressful, as we can, as we have energy. But, there's such a reciprocity. Not only does somebody else benefit from your giving, but you benefit as well. We feel really good when we can help and support others. And this is a nice way to do it, especially during the holidays when people are in need all year round. But I think we're thinking about it a little bit more during the holidays. You believe me, you can volunteer all year long. That would be fabulous. So you can look at local things. You can look at the interests that you have. If you really have a soft spot for animals, maybe thinking about an animal shelter. Or if you're an awesome baker, maybe there's a local church that's needing meals provided to seniors. Who knows? So just think about what your gifts are, what your talents are, and how you can share those with other people. Okay, so going to maybe a little bit lighter one, another way to get us out of that really clouded headspace is to practice gratitude. And so we want to take an honest inventory of the things that we actually have received, the things that we have or experienced in our life. Send thanks to all that have come to support you. Whether they're people, whether they're guides and guardians, whatever it might be. And then just know that whatever I've received up to this point, I'm going to receive more as well in the future. And so I think a lot of times we get so hung up on, I had this thing and now it's gone and now it's never going to be replaced. It will. It may be different. It may look different, feel different, whatever, but you're going to get something else in your life. Hopefully that's a good thing, right? So gratitude is a really nice practice. Again, you can incorporate that into your day, even doing something as simple as reminding yourself of 3 things that you're grateful for the day. And again, it doesn't have to be anything major. It could be like my pillow. I always go to like my pillow, my cup of coffee as 2 of them, but whatever it might be. My dog was having a fabulous time watching 2 squirrels. We don't have a lot of mature trees behind us. And so to see squirrels, he's like so excited. And so I was just grateful for that moment. Not only that he had that, he was super excited, but I just enjoyed that, right? It was just something that made me smile too. So knowing what we're grateful for is important. And the last one I'm really going to talk about, and I know because we're getting close to time that I want to do a little Reiki, is thinking about the meaning of the holiday for you, and thinking about, so sometimes the personal meaning is a little bit different. Is there source of inspiration? Sometimes, I take my inspiration from nature, seasons, cycles, rhythms. Are there symbols or messages of the holidays that are meaningful for you? Is there anything that you can incorporate into your little world, your little internal world, that sort of gives it that meaning back, that it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just buying gifts to buy gifts, or I'm just rushing to these parties to, I don't know, exchange a white elephant gift or whatever, right? But that there's a reason, right? So maybe there is some gratitude there, or maybe there is extending peace, or feeling connected, feeling loved, feeling kind or compassionate, or whatever it might be. We just want to think about how what is the meaning of the holiday for us. And again, it's going to be very individual, probably, I would assume. But seeing how can I make that the focus instead of the other stuff that's creating stress. So I know that was a ton of strategies, and I do have I have this in my blog. I did this as a blog, so I can put the link to the blog in the description. I didn't do that. But hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, you can always put it in the chat. Anything that you found helpful with bringing some peace and joy to yourself, to the people that you love in your life. Sometimes people that you don't really love either, but anything that you found helpful, definitely add that. It's really interesting when other people have observations. I mean, this is not an exhaustive list by any means. It's just the things that I was thinking about. And I was thinking about the things that have helped me over the years. And, it's always interesting to me when somebody else has a really unique perspective, because we all do. We all have a unique perspective. It's our own perspective. And it's stuff that's like, yeah, I'm going to try that, or I'm going to include that, or I know exactly who needs to have a little bit of that in their life. So if you do have any of those, definitely put them in. Or if you're watching this later, if you're not watching this live, put it into the comment section. You never know who might be reading that, who might stumble upon it, and it's exactly what they needed to see in that moment. So just know that you are a gift to other people as well. And so, if you feel like this is something that you want to share, this is something that you want to support others in, put that out there, have that connection in that. I feel like it's just a way of keeping the conversation going. So that being said, of course, if you do need help, if you do need support, if you live in Illinois, where I am, you're more than welcome to contact me about therapy. If you do not live in Illinois, if you live somewhere else, I do offer coaching as well. This month, or not this month, in January, I'm going to start my Soul Journey membership. I shrank the name. It was too many words. For the winter season, I'm super excited. It's going to be, I think it's about 8 weeks, and we're going to really be looking at how we can incorporate rest and stillness, really, really getting into self-care, really trying to find what is the most nourishing and nurturing things we can do for ourselves, so that we're laying that foundation so that we can thrive in the next season. And I know I said at the beginning, some people are really energized in the winter, and that's fabulous. You don't have to be just focused on self-care. But we have a little bit of everything within this membership. So we're going to have live group coaching. We have weekly oracle card reading for the group. I have live Q&A on Fridays. And then I have Sacred Circle that I do once a month. It's a time for Reiki healing and guided meditation that I write based on a theme, whatever theme that we're working with, energetic theme that we're working with, usually supported by an animal spirit, animal ally, and we've been working with goddesses for a while, so goddess energy. So if that's something that you're interested in, that's going to be launching soon. Registration's going to be open hopefully soon. I keep saying that. Hopefully it'll be soon. But if there's no questions, comments, nothing like that, why don't we just take a little bit of time to go within and to be able to mindfully cultivate a little peace and joy for ourselves for this holiday season, and truly for whenever you need it. So I invite you to take some cleansing breaths, just be in through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just helps us to get back into the body, quiets the mind a little bit. You may notice that you're holding tension. Usually we have a little tension in the shoulders. You can always roll your neck. You can scooch around in your chair. You can do whatever you need to just relax the body. Just want to kind of set the stage for a little bit of meditation. Now with Reiki, you don't have to be attuned to receive or benefit from the distance Reiki. You just have to be open to receiving, and you can affirm that in your mind, that you're just open to receive, and you receive whatever you're needing for your highest good. There's nothing that you have to worry about. absorbing or taking on any negative energy or anything like that. But it's just that affirmation. And I'm going to light a candle for us and have that burning. So if you have an intention for yourself for this holiday season specifically, or whatever, how can I cultivate more peace and joy in my life? How can I navigate an optimal experience for the holidays? Whatever you're thinking about, what can I get through seeing family? Just set your intention. I'm gonna light, like I said, I'm gonna light the candle. Ooh, if I can. It's a wood wick, so it makes a little bit of noise. But I just want, it's rainwater, that's funny. That's all right, we'll cleanse and clear too. So just send that intention as long as this energy burns. Kind of as a safe container to hold that. And you're welcome to close your eyes if you'd like to. Or if you want to keep your eyes open, that's okay too. You can just soften your vision. So I'm just going to start sending Reiki. I'm going to start sending it to your crown, the top of your head. My intention is simply that you receive what you're needing. All for your highest good. With support and love from all of your guides, your Reiki guides, your spirit guides, your animal allies, any ancestors or ascended masters, any archangels or goddesses, anyone that supports you. I'll make sure that crown is open. So that we can receive that connection. We don't feel alone in this world. You're never alone. You're with me right now, so sometimes when we get too stressed or overwhelmed, we forget we're part of the divine. I just want to clear a little bit of your third eye vision for yourself, so that you can see opportunities for creating peace and joy for yourself. Maybe for those in your sphere. I want you to be able to tap into that intuition. Be able to kind of trust your intuition. So maybe even I see clearly the opportunities that are available to me for peace and joy. Going down to the throat chakra. I want to make sure that we have really clear communication with ourselves first and foremost, and then with others. We want to let go or release anything that gets in our way or blocks healthy communication. Knowing that you can find an ideal way of saying what you need to say. That those in your life will be open and receptive to hearing what you have to say. Just clearing and releasing anything that's stuck in the throat chakra. And I would say gratitude is one thing that helps clear the throat chakra, because there's no more distorted communication when we're talking about gratitude. Candle's making a crazy sound. Moving down to the heart. Gratitude's a great heart opener as well. I'm going to do a little bit of clearing at the heart too. We need it. We need to be tender with ourselves during the holidays. Always, but definitely for the holidays. I'll give you some affirmations too with the heart. And you can just imagine, if you have a sense of grounding cords or roots, that you can just release anything energetically through that, anything that no longer serves you. So we want to make space for peace and joy. So I release the worry and stress so I can make space for peace and calm. I don't have to sacrifice my happiness, and I'm not responsible for another adult's happiness. I am worthy of love and acceptance. Most importantly, from myself, right? Just allowing that energy to build in the heart. Again, just with that grateful heart, I open to love and hope and our friends' peace and joy. You're so deserving of that, always. Moving down to the solar plexus. When I mindfully move through my day, I'm stepping into my personal power. That one's an important one. It's not selfish, it's self-supporting. Unwinding any weird, wonky expectations of other people about how we need to sacrifice our personal power within relationships. We want to let go of that stuff. Just take a moment to feel, sense, or know your personal power. How would the holidays be different if you're able to make choices that supported your personal power? Made choices and took action aligned with your personal power. What would that look like to be fully supportive of your needs? Moving down to sacral. We really want to, let's do a little clearing and cleansing of the sacral, because if we're talking about tapping into joy, that's your sacral. The pleasurable experiences of life, giving ourselves the permission to receive pleasure. Again, just releasing any past expectations or current expectations for yourself that you think others have for you. Thinking about how you can creatively tap into joy within your own world, your own life. If you gave yourself permission, what would that look like? Just supporting that. And then moving down to the root. This is where we want to just affirm for ourselves some basic truths. I am safe. There is purpose and meaning for me to be here at this time. I am enough. With that open awareness, with the intuition, I can see my path more clearly. Feeling excited to take steps along my path. Releasing anything that doesn't serve you, anything that's had an ending, a completion, especially around you, your journey. Any thoughts or memories of people belittling you or discounting you. We want to get rid of that stuff. Right? We want to just give ourselves that permission to be here, to be present, to focus on, to celebrate whatever inspires us with this season. It's going to be unique to you because you are unique. It's not a bad thing. Just going to draw in a little energy from the earth through your roots to your chakras to support them. I'm just going to quickly just ignite a little power within you. Just helping you align to that energy. Just allowing it to radiate through your system. So it becomes clear how you can activate peace and joy. This candle's making all sorts of goofy noises. So letting the energy go up, go down. Must be burning away. The candle must be burning away. And a lot of outdated beliefs or mindset or whatever. Sealing in a little sound. And we blow out our candle, knowing that your intention has been received. And it'll continue to be heard and supported as you move through the holidays. So hopefully that was helpful. You can always obviously reach out if you're needing more support. If you're looking for other strategies, you're more than welcome to put a comment in for the video later, and I'll get back to you. I try to get to the comments as quickly as I can, but I'm so grateful that you have been here. You are supporting my channel and hopefully getting something from this. I want to be putting I know the cliche is love and light out into the world, but I feel like the world needs that right now. There's so much pain. The world is very scary at times, but we can't forget that we are we are light. We are brilliant, and we can do so much more than we tell ourselves. And so, I want to be able to contribute to that. And I think, you know, I feel like it's that ripple effect, right? If you support somebody else, they're going to be able to support somebody else, right? And so I feel like we can just bring some of that light. We can shine it a little bit brighter for the world. So I'm so grateful that you're here. I know my clients always hear me. I always tell my clients, I'm like, I have the best clients. So I'm really appreciative of all my clients. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season. However you celebrate, whatever you celebrate, just know that your guides and your guardians are always with you. They're always available for you. And if you feel like I need something a little bit more tangible in my life, seek out the helpers in the world. They'll be there for you. So, oh, yeah, we are a teeny ripple. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. So, if you have any, oh, thank you. Yes, have it. We're in winter solstice. I'm kind of excited. I'm excited after this. I have a few more things to do for work, and then I'm disconnecting for a few days. So I'm super excited to start my reset. And if anybody wants to, like I said, if anyone wants to come along for that, the Winter Soul Journey membership is opening up soon. Even though I said that for a couple weeks, but that's okay. So take care, everybody. Have a fabulous holiday season. And oh, and I won't be here next week because I'm going to take some days off. But I will be back on January something, whatever that first Friday is. January something. I have no idea what it is. But anyways, so no live Q&A on the 29th. I'll be back, whatever the next one is. All right, take care. Have a great rest of your day.